The Mack truck versus the tank. What happens when the big boys collide? We're about to find out here. Fight number 4 of AKA 19 is underway.
Last time we saw Sullivan fight, he ended with a knockout, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, and if you're aware of that, and you have a wrestling background like the tank does, I'm curious to see if he tries to take it down early. And he's immediately looking for that takedown.
Yeah, he is. And see, we have a problem right here. Is, Sullivan's got both arms over. It's not going to defend very well there. Calling for hooks. He needs to get his hooks here. Underhooks he has none. All Trevor has to do is really drop down and drag his hips back and then get a takedown. Good knee from Sullivan. May think Harris, make him think twice about getting low there.
Waiting for him to look for that takedown. What's going to maybe drop down and look for a single leg there.
Yeah, I'm interested why, Trevor Harris being a wrestler. There he goes. I was wondering when he was going to, change levels and then start pulling on the hips, but it looks like he was trying to there.
Well, I'll tell you, fellas, we got the big boys in there now. The mastodons of muscle. Heavyweight action. The Mack truck taking on the tank. Some heavy artillery in there right now. Big boys dropping big shots. Tyler.
Yeah, and we've seen Michael Sullivan before, now 2-0. We've seen him at AKA events before, and this is a guy that's absolutely game.
And he's one of those guys that's so nice. We've seen him fight here for us pretty regular at AKA, so we've seen his progression not only as a fighter, but we've also seen it on fitness-wise. The first time he came in and fight, he was well above that 260 mark. The weight I announced him at tonight, he did that with blue jeans and steel-toe boots on. So he has really leaned himself down, and I've got to imagine maybe he's eyeing trying to get himself down over time to that 205 light heavyweight division.
Yeah, you see that a lot, too. Once you get a fighter in there, they think they are heavyweight, then they realize that they can actually get in better shape and drop weight and perform better.
And that's what you like to see. You see good progression on the fitness level and the fight level from Michael Sullivan.
You're going to see Harris here now try to pull a single leg.
Now don't discount
Sullivan's
anybody.
Grabbing the fence, he's got to watch out. He just got a warning.
Representing that Armada fight team, AFT. Those
guys
guys come game.
There's that DC slam right there.
So a takedown here at the end of round number 1 for Harris.
Yeah, but Trevor Harris, a big boy, using that body weight, using the momentum, take down Michael Sullivan. So round 1 coming to a close here, guys. 3 rounds set for action here in this amateur heavyweight fight between Trevor Harris and Michael Sullivan here at AKA 19.
In a round that was spent against the cage for the majority of it, that takedown there at the end may be enough to win it for Harris.
Yeah. Sometimes in a close fight like this, that's all it takes to put you over the top and get that win in the round. But 29-28.
We never know. Last fight we thought, we called it the other, we called it the other way. You just never know when it goes to the judges.
Were you a little surprised by the result in that last round?
It was such a good fight. I never envy the judges in close fights like that. I don't consider myself to have enough intricate knowledge of what judges are looking for, so I just go with it. But from my standpoint as the MC, when you got the hometown guy getting a split decision, you can really build the drama. The crowd enjoys that.
Absolutely.
So now you see Sullivan get some instruction there from his corners. PBA hard hitters out of the Baton Rouge area. That's Plaquemine, Bruley. And I'm drawing a blank on what the A stands for right now, but it's all in that Baton Rouge area right there. Around Plaquemine Parish, East Baton Rouge Parish.
Well, if you're Sullivan coming out here, you probably want to keep it on your feet. Harris is a skilled wrestler, and he immediately went for the takedown once he finally got it. He was able to use his weight and stay on top of Sullivan.
And DJ, we know Sullivan has the knockout power. We saw his first fight inside the AKA cage. He starched his opponent in the first round. So let's see what happens here. And that's one thing you've always got to be trepidatious about if you're a heavyweight fighter inside of there. Just because they're such big men, they can really generate that power, and there's always a chance of that one-hitter quitter coming your way, baby.
Yes, sir. It happens all the time. Sullivan just looks to be eyeing that shot,
Well, you can tell that Harris is very aware of the power of Sullivan.
And what needs to happen when you got these big heavyweights, you want to close that distance and really get body to body to take away that power shot and then really go to the rest of your game from that point. The longer they stay separated, that's the longer you have that opportunity for one of them to land that big knockout blast.
For sure.
So there you see Sullivan kind of trying to change levels a little bit, that feigning to the body, just to try to keep Harris off balance a little bit. And that's what you got to do as a fighter. You got to mix it up a little bit so your opponent can't really telegraph what you're doing. You want to show them some different angles. Not a lot there. I mean, both of these guys just kind of pacing each other face to face. I'd like to see one of them really start to take some angles, change it up a little bit, get a little lighter on the feet. I know that's tough for a heavyweight, but I mean, you train every day in the gym. You need to work that footwork a little bit.
Yeah, you definitely, one shot in, and then backing up is just not going to cut it. And, we saw a couple more punches thrown there by Sullivan, but it seemed to be just a countermeasure.
And DJ, being inside that cage before, that's something you tend to see with the progression of a fighter. Instead of the one punch and back out, you start to see those combos come into play. And that's just time inside the cage and good coaching.
For sure.
But yeah, right now, kind of what you expect out of an amateur heavyweight fight. Not a whole lot of action. Now these two big bulls lock horns in the center of the cage.
Sullivan's going to try for a takedown there. He missed that trip.
Didn't quite grab it. So, Tyler, how are you seeing it so far?
I'm just seeing two big boys trying to fill each other out so far. To be honest with you, neither guy has really taken advantage of this fight. I keep waiting for the Tank here to take it down and really show off some of that wrestling, but he has yet to be able to convert on any of those takedowns, except for the one at the end of round one.
Yeah, thus far, just from an action standpoint, somewhat of a dull fight. There's a big blast knee to the solar plexus by Harris that time. Now Sullivan trying to answer with some knees of his own. But again, you're not that agile as a heavyweight. You're not going to do a whole lot of damage there. These guys need to let the hands go or get down on the ground and really start doing a little wrestling.
Final 30 seconds of round number 2 here between the big boys.
Sullivan's corner saying, Harris is tired to attack. He's got to be careful, though, because he's going to get caught with a takedown, and he almost got it there. Now he's in a good dominant position.
And, DJ, I think that's what you're seeing out of Sullivan. He's a little worried to really go charging in because he did get taken down once. He doesn't want it to happen again. So now the Mack truck in the dominant position on top. Harris working from his back. Mack truck just got that big meaty forearm laid across the mouth, not letting any air come into the lungs of Harris, bringing down those big right hands now. That is the end of round number 2, guys.
Round 1 finishes with Harris on top. Round 2 with Sullivan on top. Feels like we got an even fight right now to me.
Well, fellas, as always, old Dynamite's going to step away a little. You guys can take it home here. Great job.
We appreciate your spice over here,
Enforcer, Tyler, not so dangerous. Man, it's a great night so far here at AKA 19.
Great stuff as always from Dynamite. An absolute legend around here, a legend. Dynamite does such an amazing job of just bringing in the fire, man, everywhere.
For sure. I think Sullivan might have got more comfortable with that round. We'll see what he does coming out this one. Harris, if I'm Harris, I'm definitely looking for, a takedown and working my wrestling on this next round because both, at this point, either round can go either way.
Yeah, this third and final round feels very important for what I've seen so far. Kind of had not a lot of action in the first round. It's been up against the cage. Everybody battling for position there. The takedown at the end for Harris. Then you have the end of round 2 with Sullivan landing some shots from on top. Feels pretty even at the moment. Sullivan's corner, the PBA hard hitters calling for him to let the hands go here in round number 3. Let's see what we have in store in our final round.
And I agree. I don't think we haven't seen that many shots thrown by Harris. So Sullivan may feel a little bit more comfortable easing here and start throwing some combinations. We'll see what happens.
Sullivan's corner saying that Harris is tired, asking for him to capitalize on that.
Harris doesn't really look tired to me, but a lot of times your corner will be there to psych you up. They're going to tell you what you need to hear to finish this fight.
Absolutely, I would completely agree with that. Asking for Mike to win the round. Here's he needs to win the round. I think it's 1-1 at the moment. Both guys need to win this round.
Yes, sir.
Kick to the body from Harris.
If I'm Sullivan, I'm going to inch in and try to clinch and then throw some shots from there. He had that on the last round. It seemed to be effective. He's right there in the clinch and he threw some shots, but he threw one and backed off a little bit. That's definitely where I'm at if I'm Sullivan. If I'm Harris, I'm looking for a takedown, which is just what it is.
Approaching the halfway mark here of round number 3. Sullivan does have a really good jab as well. We've seen that. Big boys And you mentioned this. Sometimes you don't get as much action,
No,
but it's always looking for that big shot.
That's right. I mean, it's just there's a lack of cardio there, so they're building up these punches. But what happens is those small things that probably wouldn't affect a smaller scale fighter, smaller weight fighter, are going to affect these guys because there's way less movement in these fights, right? So if there was time spent against the cage in a dominant position, or time spent on top in a dominant position, even if it was only 10 seconds, the judges are going to look at that because there hadn't been that much action on the feet.
Sullivan finally letting the hands go a little bit, lands a couple there with a combination.
And see, he threw a few, but then he backed away. Opponent wasn't countering, so you should stay there and throw more, but it just does happen as you're a new fighter and you've only had a couple fights, and you got to be timid of another guy who's 260 pounds of their power too.
Final 30 seconds left. This final 30 could be the line. There's a right hand from Harris.
Yes.
We really haven't seen Sullivan take any damage.
I mean, he had a good jab there too in that last exchange.
Sullivan trying to set up that right hand.
This is going to be a hard round to judge for sure.
Looking for that uppercut there in the counter. There it is. Now they let it fly at the end. Maybe a little bit too late there.
Yeah.
Interesting fight. You got two big boys that really felt like the majority of the time they were trying to fill one another out. I felt like round one probably belonged to Harris with a takedown at the end. But from there, Michael Sullivan kept the fight on the feet. He did finish round 2 on top, landed some shots. And then there in round 3, it felt like he was a little bit more aggressive. He was the one that landed the punches. He did a really good job of staying out of Harris' range. And it was a good job by Sullivan to land a couple shots there.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that it's in Sullivan's favor. Definitely more of the dominant 3 rounds.
Our 4th fight of the night goes the distance as well. All 4 fights have gone the distance so far here at AKA 19. Don't forget, our night will be capped off by the featherweight title fight between David Bosnick and Hope.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of 2 big boys dropping big shots here inside the AKA cage, we are going to the judges' scorecard. Ladies and gentlemen, all 3 judges have seen and scored this fight the same way. Therefore, declaring your winner by unanimous decision, fighting in the red corner, the Mack Truck, Michael Sullivan.
So Michael Sullivan remains undefeated in the cage as an amateur. He improves to 3-0 now as he picks up the unanimous decision victory over Trevor Harris. And that 3rd and final round really was where everything was decided. As we mentioned, Sullivan, the aggressor there, especially towards the end of the round. Early on, kind of still feeling it out a bit, and then he turned it on that final minute or so of round number 3 and picked up the victory.